The jungle moon of Hadrion was never meant to feel like home, yet I had lived among its endless green canopies for almost 6 months. My assignment was simple on paper. Survey the land for potential human colonization. The reports back to command were supposed to be filled with soil samples, atmospheric charts, and wildlife data. Instead, my logs were a collection of encounters with things that shouldn't exist. Ruins older than human space travel, whispers carried by the wind, and most recently, cages. I found them on the 42nd day of my expedition. Crude iron structures, hidden deep beneath towering fungal growths. The cages were large, but one was different. Inside it, crouched in the shadows, was a girl. First I thought she was human. Her frame was slender, her eyes too expressive to belong to one of Hadrian's beasts. But the longer I stared, the more I noticed the differences. Her skin shimmered faintly like moonlight across water, and her hair seemed to flow even when the air was still. Her gaze met mine, sharp and pleading, yet too weak for words. I should have walked away. Interference with intelligent species was against every regulation we had. But something in her expression rooted me there, stronger than any law. When I finally forced the lock open, the rusted iron snapped like brittle bones. She collapsed into my arms, whispering words in a language I didn't understand. I carried her away from that prison, into the cover of the jungle. For 3 days, I nursed her with water and ration packs. She recovered slowly, never speaking much, though her eyes spoke more than words ever could. On the morning of the 4th day, she was gone. Vanished, as though she had melted back into the forest itself. I told myself it was better this way. She was free and I was still alive. My job wasn't to make friends, especially not with mysterious beings in cages. But I couldn't stop thinking about her. The days passed with their usual rhythm, cataloging species, setting up perimeter drones, and transmitting data back to orbit. Yet every night I found myself replaying the moment she looked at me through the cage, her fingers trembling as they reached for mine. Then came the 7th night after her disappearance. I was adjusting one of my drones when the forest grew unnaturally quiet. Hadrian's jungle was never silent. Its creatures cried, clicked, and howled through all hours. But this time, it was as though the entire moon held its breath. A figure emerged from the tree-line. It was her. She walked with steady confidence now, no longer fragile, no longer broken. She wore a garment of woven silver threads that shimmered faintly in the moonlight, like something grown rather than crafted. In her hands, she carried an object wrapped in dark cloth. I froze, my pulse quickening. "You came back." She tilted her head, studying me with those luminous eyes. When she spoke, her voice was soft yet resonant, as though 2 tones layered upon each other. "You freed me." I almost dropped the spanner I was holding. She spoke my language. Not perfectly, but enough. "Yes," I said cautiously. "I couldn't just leave you there." Her lips curved slightly, almost a smile. Then she stepped forward and offered me the wrapped object. "For you." I unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a crystal no larger than my hand, but alive with inner light. It pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. "What is it?" I asked. "Gift," she said. "Promise." I frowned, not understanding. But the moment my fingers brushed the crystal, something happened. My surroundings seemed to ripple, my vision blurring into fragments of impossible images. Cities of light built into mountains, ships made of living metal, stars bending under strange energies. It lasted only a second, but it left me breathless. I looked back at her. "Why show me this?" Her expression grew solemn. "You saved me. Now I save you." "From what?" I whispered. She hesitated, then pointed toward the distant sky. Hunters. They come. The next day everything changed. I didn't know whether to believe her warning. But when I checked my long-range scanners, I detected faint distortions at the edge of the system, shadows where no ships should be. She stayed with me, moving silently through the camp, observing everything with quiet intensity. I learned her name, Lyra. I learned fragments of her story too. Her people once ruled this moon, building wonders that stretched across galaxies. But enemies hunted them, destroyed their cities, and scattered the survivors. The cage I found her in was the work of those enemies, remnants of a slaver species that still stalked the stars. Lyra claimed they were returning. I wanted to dismiss it as paranoia. Yet part of me knew she was right. When the first blast shook the forest, my doubts ended. The hunters arrived at dusk. Their ships were jagged things, black against the sky, descending with thunder. They released drones shaped like metal insects, their wings slicing through trees, their beams reducing life to ash. I grabbed my rifle, but Lyra stopped me. No, not weapons. Crystal. She placed her hand on the gift she had given me. At her touch, it flared brighter, responding as though alive. Energy surged up my arm, and suddenly, the drones around us faltered. Their wings stuttered, their beams fizzled out, and they crashed into the jungle floor. I stared at the crystal in awe. How? Key, she said simply. It remembers. Together, we fled deeper into the ruins I had only half explored before. Lyra guided me with certainty, as though the paths of her ancestors still lived in her memory. The hunters followed, relentless, but the crystal shielded us, bending their weapons aside, interfering with their machines. By the time we reached the heart of the ruins, the moon had become a battlefield. Fire lit the skies. The hunters' ships loomed overhead like predators. At the center of the ruins stood a structure unlike anything I had ever seen, a spire of crystal and stone pulsing faintly, half buried beneath centuries of growth. Lyra pressed the gift into a socket at its base. The entire structure came alive. Light exploded outward, racing through cracks in the earth, surging into the sky like veins of fire. The hunters' ships faltered, their dark hulls crumbling under the sudden wave of energy. One by one they shattered and fell, their wreckage burning across the canopy. When the light faded, silence returned to Hadrion's jungle. But it wasn't the same silence as before. This one was peaceful, final, ending. We stood together beneath the glowing spire, watching the night reclaim the sky. I turned to Lyra, still holding the faintly humming crystal. What just happened? Her expression was calm, but her eyes shone with both sorrow and relief. Home remembers. You gave me freedom. I gave you memory. Now my people live again through you. I didn't fully understand, but I knew one thing. Hadrion was no longer just a survey mission. It was something larger, something far beyond colonization. Humanity wasn't the first to find this moon. We were inheritors of a legacy far older than ourselves. Lyra reached out and touched my arm, her hand warm against the chill of the night. You are part of it now. We walked back to my camp in silence. The jungle, once alien and menacing, now felt alive with quiet allies. The crystal pulsed in my grip, no longer just a gift, but a bond between two worlds.